Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our chats with Emily as we are calling our readings through the poetry of Emily Dickinson. We are in the Johnson edition. We turn now to poem 552, An Ignorance, a Sunset. We are back to what Emily called the flood question of immortality, the question of what happens after one dies. And Emily is so curious on this topic because she wants to get a sense of what that experience of death and then, of course, beyond death is like. Now, our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Chats with Emily. I'm hopeful that you worked through our set of introductory comments as well as the preceding 551 poems. We just finished with 551. There is a shame of nobleness. Now, the question here is, we don't know, i.e. we're ignorant, back to the first line of the poem, when our sun will set. And because of that, as we have often said, the only difference between you and a fly is that you know about fly swatters, back to, of course, the famous, I heard a fly buzz when I died. This is the game she plays here. An ignorance, a sunset confer upon the eye of territory, color, circumference, decay. Its amber revelation exhilarate, debase. Omnipotence's inspection of our inferior face. And when the solemn features confirm in victory, we start as if detected in immortality. Now, this word detected is the key word. In other words, we live as if we think we can get away with something, and then all of a sudden she says, I'm kind of worried that maybe there will be a detection that will happen, that maybe, in fact, I'm not quite worthy of this immortality as it is appearing. Notice it begins with this idea of the ignorance. We don't know when death will arrive. We don't know what the experience will be like. But in some ways, it is a sunset, right? That is to say, the sunset of life being death. And it is conferred upon the eye. Notice we go by what we see at the beginning of the poem. But later, it's what we feel in terms of being detected. Confer upon the eye. Territory. Notice all these dashes. Color, circumference, decay, notice the four, right, with the dashes. I think decay is a key word here, by the way. It's amber revelation. I think revelation is the other key word. In other words, we're longing to know, and we wonder, will our death and the experience of immortality be about exhilaration, or will it be about somehow debasement? Notice how debasement works with detected here in a little bit. And then, of course, she injects God into this poem. Omnipotence's inspection of our inferior face. In many ways, we're back to poem 551. You can go back and take a look at what we had to say there. And when the solemn features, notice again now all the heavy language, solemn features confirm, dash, in victory, dash, we start. Now the word start here, guys, doesn't mean get ready to go. Although obviously it's a secondary meaning. Here, this is the same word that Banquio uses with Macbeth in Shakespeare's Macbeth 1:3. In our study at learnstrong.net, you can go to find it. You will remember that Banquio asks Macbeth when he's given those three prophecies, good sir, why do you start and seem to fear things that are so fair? Start, shake, shook. In other words, we're shocked in some way. We're shocked, as, notice dash, as if detected in immortality. By the way, notice there's no dash after the word detected. It's as if we're in immortality, we're going to be detected. Detected by whom? Well, obviously it's the omnipotence that she's referencing right here. Now we're back to Revelation, and then all of a sudden we're back to the word decay again. Now, she uses immortality in 41 of her poems. When we get to 1732, we'll come back to it one more time. Maybe her most famous poem where this word gets used. She says it this way, my life closed twice, before it's closed, it yet remains to see if immortality unveil a third event to me. Pay attention to the word unveil, right? So huge, so hopeless to conceive as these that twice befell. Parting is all we know of heaven and all we need of hell. Maybe one of the most brilliant lines written for Emily as it relates to this whole notion of immortality and death. At 2A for this poem, what is the central message? I think her argument is that it's hard for us to know how we will deal with the notion of post-mortem, and for her, immortality. At 2B, I think the word choice is significant. The word start is a central word. And again, which brings us to our study of Macbeth, right, as we said. At 3A, I think, again, all of the 41 immortality poems come to mind, especially 1732. And finally, at 3B, to own a poem like this, how do you think about the whole question from Plato's Phaedo and the afterlife and the immortality of the soul? To what degree do you buy any of those ideas? Or how do you deal with them? Thank you.